Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are here in the ninja hideout to do our Stormblood ninja quests. Or more specific, I had already done this, and when we met after 2 quests or so, you wanted to record this, and so I replay these first 2 quests in New Game Plus, and then cut that all together. Oboro. Search for the stolen scroll. Oh, alas and alack. What am I to do? Oh, Desiree, as a shinobi, I am loath to admit this, but I did not see you come in. Truth be told, I've been somewhat distracted of late. Princess Yuki, it would seem, sent a letter to my village praising us for our effort on her behalf, thus revealing my story of an injury preventing me from making the journey home for the ruse it was. But my shame is not that I have been summoned back to the village, but rather quite the opposite. Despite knowing I'm hale and hearty, my elders seem to be in no particular hurry to welcome me back into the fold. Should the time come when we have need of you in Doma, we shall summon for you. Until then, you are to remain at your post and do all in your power to aid our countrymen in Eorzea. Such were their words. Is this how far I've fallen? Am I as a falcon bereft of its claws? A dull blade tossed to the wayside by its master? For all I know, I have been all but exiled to this place. I'm sorry, Desiree. Heaven knows that you did not come here to listen to my griping. On a brighter note, I did receive word from Captain Jacke. It would seem some Easterners are causing something of a stir. I suppose I should be grateful that someone still has the need of my services. Anyhow, it would seem the Kami led you here at a most opportune time. Would you care to accompany me? I thank you, my friend. Let us make for Limsalominsa and see what our friends at the Rogues Guild would ask of us. Okay, to the Rogues Guild. Well, if it ain't the dimbest damber of them all, I trust you've been keeping your stabbers sharpened? What's with you and Oboro and the job, I reckon all be a bob before the lightman comes round. Here's where we stand. One of me little birds in the Kraken arms came chirping to me a story about some Domans who I reckon are breaking one code or another. Seems they, the Krakens that is, were out snurching the eastern seas when they grappled a vessel flying Gallian colors, as they want to do. But then came the rap. The crew claimed to be Doman, you see, and upon whittling their captor's identity, they changed tack, begging for asylum on Eorzean shores, and offering the entirety of their cargo in full in return for safe passage. Colonel Benekov, or fool, the Kraken captain took the self-styled Domans up on their offer, storing the eastern treasures, and the Easterners themselves, away in the hold. They set sail for Limsa. But after pulling to port, a funny thing happened. No sooner had the Krakens dropped anchor that the refugees put on their best beater cases and skulked off into the dead of the Darklands, leaving all their treasures behind. All their treasures save one. A scroll of sorts that had been hiding in a corner, all inconspicuous-like. Cavaline reckons that these Doman refugees have played us for some run fun, and they're off selling the scroll on the black markets for good blunt even as we speak. I see. So we'd have us recover the scroll in question and bring the thieving Domans to justice. I'm honored to lend what aid I can, and yet I cannot help but wonder, just what could it be about this scroll to make it so valuable to my countrymen? Well, we're not going to whittle the scrap just sitting around here on our daddles, now are we? Let's nudge town and see what the common curves and morts have and haven't seen. Desiree, why don't you pay old Yitel Van a visit at the wench? If there's any rumors going about any shifter Easterners, like as not that Mort would know. You do remember what to order, aye? Because a dimmer-damber like yourself would. Good luck out there, and keep your waddles open. We'll be waiting for you in Bulwark Hall when you're through. Jacke's speak is still terrible to read. Come, load in. Welcome to the Drowning Bench. What's your pleasure, miss? A weak ale. Ah, you must be here on business. Maybe I could offer you something from our underground menu? Now, what's your fancy? Guests from the east, you say? Why, yes, I do believe he had some visitors not long ago matching that description. They left shortly before you arrived. I make a habit of pricking my ears up to catch our patrons' every whisper, but the party in question required little such effort. Why, they were shouting of tales of riches and glory in a war that could wake the dead. Said they were on their way to Wineport to make the transaction of a lifetime, though they weren't keen on going into detail. Just between us, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something less than savory about their business. Speaking of savory, can I interest you in our seafood stew? Ah, shit, I need to report first. So our lads are headed to Wineport, huh? Better work this way. Remind me to slip you Tolvan some extra blood next time we stop at the wench for libations. That said, something doesn't sit right with me. Cackling our plans for every drunkard and tavern wench to hear. I reckon our friends might be looking to amuse us if you wettle my gist. Keep your eyes open and your stabbers sharp, mates. Now we go to Wineport. And out of the Western Agapia. We were too late. Well, there's a bleeding surprise. The coat-breaking curse have already bit the blow and hopped the twig, with a caravan worthy of Bingo in tow. Whereas they were last seen beating a path for Bloodshore. But what could they mean to... Wait a bleeding moment. Whatever grog's not meant for selling, but keeping their throats wet on a long voyage. I reckon our lads are trying to smuggle the scroll home. There's no time to lose. Let's brush off our beater case and make for Bloodshore all quick-like. Oboro and I'll snitch the north side. That's where you take the south. We have to catch these curs before they slip from our daddles for good. Rafhun Hingen. Ha! You just had to poke your nose in our business, eh? Guess you're leaving us no choice. The scarp. Why, these men are samurai from Hingashi. Whatever's the meaning of this? Let me guess. You came upon a couple of rough-looking coves. These coves came waving their stabbers in your face before I could etch a word. I reckon it was the same for you. It was. The scrolls nowhere to be seen, nor as anything resembling a ship. If I didn't know anybody, I would say they were simply a group of ruffians enjoying their ill-gotten grog. The dim one sees, but does he truly see? No. No, these unfortunate men were but pawns in a grand scheme, as disposable as the bottles that no litter the shore. Meanwhile, your true quarry has boarded a trader and sailed for Krakens, even as we speak, under the auspices of the East Aldener Trading Company, no less. So cunning a scheme, I wish I'd thought of it myself. Or did I? How do you know back at me? You have a cuff from the House of Styx. Karasu. Karasu Redbeak. Childhood friends turned bitter enemies when friends want more. We united after far too long. Our hero returns and the audience swoons. Oh, what a joyous day. Or is it? I said this much, dim one. For once you managed to surprise me. To think that the oh-so-serious Oboro would lie to his elders to avoid having to make the journey home, only to find he wasn't welcome to begin with. Oh, the irony of it all. Enough of your pruning and prattling, Karasu. I want answers. How did you know we were here? Just what is your connection to the thieves we pursue? You mean the thieves who already eluded your clumsy grasp? Just as I am about to do? I fear that is a story for another day. Ever the slippery bird, that one. A daft Druid's an acquaintance of yours? That's news to Jacke's wattles. Meanwhile, we got our work cut out for us if we still want to grapple that scroll. Is there anywhere we can have a few wits? You know, secret-like? Say no more, Captain Jacke. As luck would have it, our base of operations is but a short walk from these parts. Desiree, pray join us at the storehouse. I reckon this is about the shabbiest, shoddiest shack all Jacke has ever laid eyes on. In other words, a perfect hideout. Aye, Oboro is sharper when he lets on. Karasu Redbeak, of all the places I thought our search might lead us, never in my wildest dreams did I think it would lead us to him. Come square with me, Oboro. Just who is this Karasu Curve? Can we trust him, or is he like as not to stab us in our back the moment we turn a blind eye? No, I mean, yes. I mean, he is neither or both. Perhaps I should say it's complicated. Judging from the reaction, it would seem as much. Anyway, if our men have set sail for Hingashi, I reckon we have no choice but to do the same. I wasn't exactly preparing for a long voyage, but damned if I leave this job half done. That said, ashamed as I am to admit it, this is all Jacke's first journey to the Far East. I wouldn't know Kugane from a rumdoxy's arse, and I don't know a rogue what can do his work without knowing the lay of the land. Worry not, Captain Jacke. I've travelled there on many an occasion to procure the tools of my trade from the finest Tingan artisans. It would be my pleasure to serve as your guide. Your presence would be most heartening as well, Desiree. Kugane is a city where anything can happen, and there's no telling what dangers await us there. I'll agree with that, but mind you, Desiree is a right busy mod. What say we do it this way? Oboro and I will go on ahead and we'll send for you once we've snitched out the place and worked out our next plan of action. A reasonable plan, Captain Jacke. In that case, Desiree, pray check in with the storehouse from time to time. I will send word to Yomei when we require your services. In the meantime, may the Kami guide you in your training. '63. Past that. So these two were quick. Ah, Desiree, I have a letter for you from Master Oboro. It would appear that his investigation in Kugane has borne fruit. Here, see for yourself. Dear Desiree, I hope this letter finds you well. After a long and rather uneventful voyage, we have arrived safely in Kugane. Captain Jacke seems quite taken with Indian culture and is enjoying a stroll in the pleasure quarters at this very moment. But forgive me, we are not interested in a diary of our travels. As for the matter of a scroll, rumors abound of a band of dominant scufflaws have been causing a stir in town of late. Putting together the accounts we have heard, the good captain and I are convinced that these are the thieves we seek. If a word about town is to be believed, these individuals are far more dangerous than we had imagined. I trust that you have been pursuing your ninjutsu training with your usual diligence. My apologies, of course you have. In any event, we would have you join us at the earliest convenience. We will be keeping an eye out for your arrival. Seek us in the alley behind the second pier ferry docks. Safe travels, friend. It is good to see Master Oboro in such good spirits once more. Ever since the Elder has commanded him to remain in Eorzea, he has not quite been himself. After all, a shinobi without a duty to carry out as a hawk with clipped wings. It's good to see Master Oboro soaring high once more. Still, I worry. While I have great respect for the man, he can often be too trusting for his own good. Pray go to his side, friend, and see that he does not get himself into undue trouble. May the Kami carry you safely across the sea. Tetsuya, it's been too long to have traveled so far to assist Oboro in his mission. Words cannot begin to convey my gratitude. Desiree, I thank you for answering my call. Tsubame too has made the journey from the village to join us in retrieving the scroll. It's an honor to stand by your side again, Desiree. Master Oboro will doubtless benefit from your presence, as he always does. Likewise, I figured we could use a few more Dimber Dammers on the job, so I sent for Underwood and the Stray. Their ship should be pulling into harbor before long. In the meantime, allow me to share what we have learned. Reliable sources have it that the theft of a scroll is the work of a Garnet League, a notorious band of outlaws feared throughout Doma. When the Doman rebellion was crushed 1 year ago, many a samurai fled the battlefield to escape the Empire's wrath. Dishonored and unable to return home, most turned to banditry to eke out a living. It's the most lethal of these warriors who formed the Garnet League. Cutting down innocent men for their coin purses, plundering villages, the men and women of the Garnet would gladly stain their hands with blood as long as it means they will live to see the morrow. Why they covered that scroll, so I cannot say. What I do know is that if we do not stop them, they are all but certain to leave a trail of corpses in their wake. We must move, and quickly. Fortunately, they should not prove hard to find. Confident in their ability to cut down anyone who dares oppose them, they take little trouble to conceal themselves. On the contrary, they parade their garnet-hued kimono for all to see. You can distinguish them from the similarly garbed Sekisagumi by their lack of a hakama and their singularly uncouth demeanor. Let us split up and cover as much ground as we can. Desiree, I would entrust the Shiokaze hostelry and Rakusa district to you. Keep to the shadows and gather what knowledge you can. When we are done with the task, let us reconvene here. Right, no mount here. These men look to be members of the Garnet League. They seem to be discussing something. One day she has us sneaking into a bleeding Imperial storehouse. The next the Confederacy is chasing us halfway across the Ruby Sea. Sakura could pay us twice what she does and wouldn't be bloody worth it. Come now. Even you must admit that it was quite the little adventure. What was fortunate we came upon was the Eorzean pirates when we did. And they believed our little ruse. In the end, we made it here with our little prize, did we not? We simply took a slight detour. We didn't all make it, or have you forgotten those we left behind at Bloodshore? Cut down by our pursuers, no doubt. Poor bastards. Whose brilliant idea was it to go along with that masked man's plan anyway? If our brothers could not fend for themselves, they have only themselves to blame. As for our mysterious benefactor, you let us here as promised, did you not? Now we need only wait for our client to show and deliver the goods, and we'll never need to worry about going hungry again. Speaking of which, just how long does our man need to keep us waiting? I'm beginning to wonder if someone isn't playing all of us for fools. No. We were late for our delivery after all. What has our client returned to Koshu when we did not show it, and now is making the long journey back to Kogane? We owe him some patience, do we not? I swear, I was just... I just wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Barely put a finger on the thing, and next I knew Sakuro's blade was in my throat. I thought she was going to cut me down right on the spot. Put yourself in her shoes. They say our client is such a dangerous man, he's been known to kill those who renegade on their agreement. If anything happens to the scroll, her life and ours would be as good as forfeit. You're saying she's as scared as us? Sakuro Brightblood, who single-handedly cut down 100 Guardians in a day during the rebellion? Sakuro Brightblood, who dyes her hair red with the blood of her foes? She cuts an imposing figure, it's true, but deep down, she's actually quite the sensitive type. Sensitive? Don't make me laugh. It would seem we have everyone assembled. Excellent, let us share all we have learned. Allow me to see if I have this right. So in short, the Garnet League lifted the scroll from a Gallian stores at the bidding of an unknown Indian client. They meant to set stray from Yangtze to Kugane, but ran afoul of a confederacy, doubtless because they were too poor to pay the ruby tithe. In fleeing, they were then captured by the Krakens, so they claimed to be Domin refugees seeking asylum. Upon arriving in Eorzea, they made off with the scroll and eventually found safe passage to Kugane, with Karasus' aid. That one's motives remain as inscrutable as ever, but I digress. Furthermore, they are led by one Sakuro Brightblood, about whom no small number of tall tales are told. Regardless of her veracity, there can be no doubt that she's a formidable opponent. For my part, I have heard that she is most protective of the scroll and keeps it on her person at all times, night and day. I heard that Sakuro and her followers have rented a room at the Bakairo Inn, an inn in town famous for its hot spring baths. All old Jacke managed to whittle is that the cove is right fond of her flowing locks, and that she fancies herself a cup of tea, making the trip from the inn to the tea house and back at least thrice a day. That's most enlightening, Captain Jacke. Now we must find a way to get our hands on the scroll before Sakuro's client arrives. But how? We could challenge her to single combat, but the Sekizakumi would not look kindly on that. Besides, we are shinobi, are we not? We must use stealth to our advantage. We simply need a plan. Look you out, underfoots on the scene. Good to see you again, Desiree. Can't wait to snelch the new tricks you learned from your friends here. What's the more got to do to get yourself some sushi? I'm bloody starved. And what's with all these bleeding seagulls? I swear if another one takes a shite on my hair, it will be seagull stew for dinner tonight. Wait, that's it, Vikibi. You're a bloody genius, and so am I reckon. Get around and let me about Waddle's friends. Old Jacke's got a plan. First, we catch Sakuro as she's beating her way from the inn to the tea house. Underfoot, Vikibi, Tsubama, you three be in charge of causing a scene and stopping the mort in her tracks. Meanwhile, Desiree, you make your way to the perch of the markets and drop some imitation seagull shite down from above. What with her precious locks all muck up, the mort's sure to make for the hot springs. She can't very well bring the scroll into the water, so we just follow along, or stealthy-like, and heave it from whatever basket she stowed it away in. For good measure, Bo and I will head for the bathhouse as well, and keep the girl occupied until Desiree has the scroll safely in her devils. A most impressive plan, Captain Jacke, but I have one question. How do you propose that the two of us keep Sakuro occupied? Bo, surely you remember our visit to Bronze Lake and the little show I put on for our pirate friend? It's all quite simple, really. I'm not certain I understand what you... Oh, on second thought, I'm not quite convinced with the best course of action. Give yourself some credit, lad. Now, Desiree, you'll want to climb up on the roof atop the Bakairo and then make your way across to the wire atop the markets. Here, this white dye should do a suitable seagull shite impersonation. Once on foot and the gang lure Sakura into position, let her fly. Alright, lads and lasses. Look sharp, and we meet back here once all's pop. From the Bokairo Inn onto the rooftop and carefully balancing on this rope here. The pain! The pain! My poor girl, whatever's the matter? Anyone find a healer? The girl needs help. What is... Ah! Birdshade! Oh, bloody brilliant. No birds. Thank you, kind sir, madam. But why not? I'm not ill. You see, I simply haven't had a bite to eat all day. Is that all now? Fortunately, the Shirka's hostelry is just a short walk away, and I hear that sushi is positively to die for, shall we? The acting is terrible, but my hair, my beautiful hair. Back to the bathhouse, I suppose. All right. Yeah. Probably not, but. And how they are doing? What beautiful locks you have. How better to keep them so smooth and silky. I don't read Jacke, he is impossible to read. Truly, I do not mean to boast, but I do say my beauty is sung of far and wide. I missed someone? I missed some, but there's two guys here. Chances are it's not here. Now we go over here. And one of a point. Well done, my friends. The operation was by any measure a rousing success. That said, I have not seen Tsubame and the others. I do hope all is well. Now, that was some rum fun, if I do say so myself. As for a cough, I wouldn't fret. Like as not, the Kibian underfoot dragged her off to yaffle on some of Kugana's finer delicacies. No doubt you're right, Captain Jacke. In the meantime, pray show me the score this way. I would see just what it is that Saguru's mysterious employer covets so. Why, this is... Are my eyes to be believed? Forbidden mudra of summoning. I had half thought that a ghost story meant to strike fear in the hearts of shinobi who would stray from their path. Forbidden summoning. I wouldn't know a mudra from my own grandmom, but that sounds right dangersome. It is indeed, Captain Jacke. The legends say that if a summoner's focus wanes for even a moment, the monstrous beast called forth by this mudra will not hesitate to devour him whole. Many years ago it was gifted from our village to the king of Doma, then sealed away to be used only in the most dire of circumstances, but was lost in the chaos of a Guardian invasion, never seen again. So it has been sleeping in an imperial vault all these years. So even with bleeding all-powerful summoning at their fingertips, the Doman still couldn't hold over the Empire? Guess it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, huh? On the contrary, we never had the chance to find out. Master Jacke, who led the shinobi, deemed the risk too great and refused to employ it, even as our nation fell. Whether Master Jacke plotted his betrayal even then, or whether he had our countrymen's best interest at heart, I cannot say, though I would like to believe the latter. Nonetheless, it's clear that none in Garlemald knew of the scroll's true power, and so it sat untouched until it was stolen by the Garnet League, at the bidding of some unknown master. But aside from my fellow shinobi, who out there wouldn't know of the scroll's true power? But it matters little now. We have a scroll and I must return it to its rightful home in my village. Afraid I can't let you do that, friend. I promised the Krakens I'd bring the scroll back for them, and I'll not have it said that Jacke ain't a man of his wits. After all, the scroll's been missing from your village for 20-odd summers, no? Clearly no one's suffering much. That's hardly the issue, Captain Jacke. This scroll is an ancient treasure. It belongs in Doma. It belongs to those that found it, and that's the Krakens. Gods, if he ain't a stubborn bastard. Gentlemen, gentlemen, must you make such a scene? After all, strictly speaking, the scroll belongs to neither of you. Karasu? Wherever did you... But never mind. Thank you for guiding us. You may rest assured that the scroll will safely return to Doma. You have my gratitude. Oh, Oboro, my dear, sweet, deluded Oboro, you grow ever dimmer by the day. Do you truly believe that I do what I do for you? I did say that I was pulling all the strings in this little puppet play, did I not? Very well. Allow me to put it in words even you can understand. The scroll belongs in Hingashi, to the master I now serve. My mistake was in entrusting to Sakura and her lackeys what I should have seen to myself from the start. Oh well, live and learn, I suppose. In any event, allow me to propose a simple transaction. You hand over the scroll, and I return your friends to you with their heads still attached to their bodies. A fair trade, no? Karasu, you craven. On second thought, yes, I do believe we could have even more fun. Keep your eyes and ears out, dim one. You'll be hearing from me again soon. Curse it all, and here I believe the man had turned over a new leaf after leaving Jacke. But no, it would seem he has simply found another villain to serve. Once a rook, always a rook, I reckon. And a sharp one at that. I never would understand other types to get boned so easily. As long as we have a scroll, Karasu is not like to cause our friends any harm. And yet, he's as unpredictable and adversary as they come. We must proceed with caution. Forgive me, Desiree. It would mean much to me if you would remain in Kugane until our work here is through. Pray, continue to train in your ninjutsu, and I shall come upon you again when the time's right. And here is where I remembered I wanted to record this. And so I cut it here, and we continue with the actual quest, not the New Game Plus.